Every country and every nation that fights and goes to war can all agree on two things. One, no going to Antarctica or the North Pole, and two, school is mandatory, state standardized testing.
How can the kids get away with murder? How can the kids get away with attacking other kids? That's all I have to say. How come these kids go missing and then we don't say anything about it? Because you know what they do to those kids after they kill them. They do whatever they want with them, and then they kill them. The school is a giant data collector. I don't think that it's if you say fuck you to your teacher, or you say that you want to kill your teacher to your teacher's face. It's more like about anyone that veers off the path of school and work and family and home. Anyone who veers off the beaten path. So I want to start off firstly by saying I never wore superhero shirts, never wore Minecraft shirts, never liked superheroes. I always liked to be myself. Didn't like myself. I didn't care for myself. I just said accept that I'm here, but I respected the way that I didn't respect. I just was existing, and everyone decided to fuck with me. All I have to say, why should I hate myself because of a few flaws and imperfections? Because of a few flaws and imperfections, they made me feel like I was going to have to bring a gun to school and kill everyone in order to defend myself, because I thought they were all going to fucking kill me. And they were all going to fucking kill me. True. Let me tell you one little fucking detail that, because I thought I was going to have to kill them before all of them before they all kill me, except for my friends and except for 3 girls. Let's see, there's my friends, Connor Scott, my girls, Natalie Welch, Natalie Hayter, and Michaela. They were all fucking nice. Kiara was nice. See, Kristen, I don't like to go on about all the fucking names and judge people, okay? But I'll tell you, there were a certain list of people I was going to take out. A list that has never left my fucking mind. Fucking, who else was in that fucking crowd? This is a fucking list that hasn't left my mind. The mind decides to remember things that are important for later. If your mind thinks this list is going to be important for later, then it will remember that list. Mrs. Linda's secretary told me not to make a kill list because kill lists are bad and illegal, but I guess when you're forced into this situation, you don't really have a fucking choice, do you? You put me there and put me through that. So point is, should I hate myself just because of a few flaws and imperfections because they told me to? So, little detail that I never mentioned about first grade was when I was in first grade. And I said I didn't like school. That's what I said. I was in first grade and I said, I don't like school. I remember I was the only kid who loved school. I was the only kid who liked the purpose of it. Education, liked going there, liked being with other kids, liked socializing, liked talking, liked making friends. So one day, a couple kids did some stupid shit to me. I don't even fucking remember, but I just remember being a little bit more pissy and agitated. I saw some things in the system, some illegal conduct, some transgression. Let's just call it not illegal transgression. So I said in front of everyone, I made it known and I made it loud so that people can hear me. I don't like school. Aiden, my friend, asked me, do you like school? I said, I don't like school. And everyone's like, oh my god. Sam doesn't like school. Oh my god, he doesn't like school. He doesn't like school. Everybody, Sam doesn't like school. And the recess monitors are like, Sam doesn't like school. And then all of a sudden, there's some adults sitting in a fucking room. Sam doesn't like school. What are we gonna fucking do about this? I don't know what the fuck was going on. I don't like to conspiracy theory about this shit, but that was before the big assembly. So they brought me into that room, quarter of the way through the year, quarter assembly. They brought, unexpectedly, the entire fucking school into one assembly. And they fucking played that animation that was like a storybook about the kid in black hoodie they formed a circle around him. He bumped into someone. He didn't like to talk to anyone. He liked to mind his own business. And then all of a sudden they just fucking jump him and form the orbital friendship cannon around him and fucking just form a circle around him and fuck with him. But you see, that's what they did to me. Someone heard, right after I said and made it known, I don't like school. They did this to me. This is what we're up against. This is the power that they have, people. Why should I hate myself because of a few flaws and imperfections that make me who I am? Because they told me to? Fuck them. This is exclusion and this is sabotage, and I couldn't act like myself without fear of getting killed. If you're coming from a school with fights every day, then that means your teacher is either one of two things. One, so stupid that they're oblivious to what's going on, and two, they're condoning it and they get off on it.
I lost my fucking shit, okay? I fucking scoffed, okay? I was sitting at the back of the class and every fucking body turned their head towards me for at least 11 to 19 fucking seconds. For at least 19 seconds, every fucking one of them. Ain't one kid paying attention to Mrs. Holes. Every kid's got their head turned towards me because of this fucking... this stupid fucking shit, dude. This Holocaust museum. My god. Give me a fucking break, dude. Okay, so the school is put there as an excuse to harbor the kid. The law is put there as a threat against the parents so that you have to send your kid. And the teachers are there as an excuse to steal your kid's data. Positive end of the spectrum, this is the negative end, and it goes based on all of the good things and bad things that happen that you were dealt with in your life, you know. Positive end, that's where all my bullies were. Nothing bad ever happened to them. I was on the negative end. All bad things happened to me. No matter where my mood is, I was always put on the negative end. Doesn't matter how your emotions are, the spectrum is not bipolar. The spectrum, the line is salt. So, I didn't have brown hair, and I didn't have black hair. I had blonde hair, I had red hair, so everybody fucking hated me. And, look, I'm a Freemason. Ooh. I just want to be with my dog again.
Water stops them, so get your hands on some H2O and let it flow. We knew we could count on you, Sonic.
And they're targeting the kids. I mean, how can you not make this shit up? How can you make this shit up? They're targeting the fucking kids, man. That's fucked up. 18. If you're not 18, if you're under 18, YouTube will lock you out and make you give a credit card. Kids don't even fucking have credit cards. I felt like if I had loved anyone, I would get killed or attacked. And that's all. I really just want to be with my dog again. I loved my dog, and I just want to be with him. But because of what they put me through at the school, they made me into an unloving person. And I felt like if I loved, I would be taken advantage of again. So I didn't love. And I stopped loving my dog, and I stopped taking him for walks. And I would do anything to get back there. To be with him again. To walk with him again. But I felt like if I would love again, I would be taken advantage of. Nobody loved me. Nobody liked me. Now I'm stuck in this pit. And this is hell. They made me feel like if I loved anyone again, I would be taken advantage of. So remember that scoff that Brody did when he looked at me for 30 seconds like this, like, you know, because I let out a scoff. That's the same reaction that I got in first grade when I said I hate school. I remember Aiden pushing me around. Ah, you like school, you like school. How could anyone even like school? I'm like, I hate school, right? Everyone gasp for fucking air, and that's when they played
animation for the kids, and that's when I got attacked by the entire school. Or three quarters of the fucking entire fucking West County Elementary, Missouri. Hey, the way they did this was like a picture book. There was a woman in a like a red shirt with blue jeans, like blue jeans, right? Brown hair, I think, teacher type, maybe brownish eyes, blue eyes maybe. So that's what the animation was. It was, oh shit. Yeah, it was an animation. But it was done like a children's book. Frame by frame, it had words and stuff, but they had a narrator, and this was done by the CIA or some shit, and they pushed it into the fucking school because I said I hate school. I remember the school kind of having brownish brick walls with maybe blue lockers, very light blue, as if they weren't even, they're like translucent blue. And you go outside and the sky's a nice blue, but it's got kind of white clouds. It all kind of blends together. If anyone can find this CIA animation, if anyone can find this animation, please send me a link, send me a message. I really want to know. They all held hands around the kid wearing black, and the black fucking whatever kid that didn't want to talk and cooperate, so they all hold hands around him until the teacher shows up. Please, if someone could find this animation for me, I'm dying to know what this is about. Done like a picture book, okay, like a picture book. This translucent brown tree, this green, light green, like paint. It was like, so it was painted, blends in a certain way. It blends all together with the green grass, light green grass, and they're all standing on it. They all danced around with the tree in the background, maybe, until the teacher shows up behind them. Please, somebody find this animation. Please tell me about it. I'm dying to know. Please.
These lawmakers are accusing us of being uncivilized, disobedient, and they're accusing us of being uncivil. And these lawmakers, the people that put the laws in place, are actually prejudiced towards us. They put those laws in place as a form of prejudice towards us and supremacy towards us. And do you really think that the people that put the laws in place, do you even think that they have to abide by those laws? Because I'm a law-abiding citizen, but they could kill Trump. They might have to kill Trump, him being one of those PDF files, they might have to put him out of his position and get someone new for us to point the finger at.
They have the thing called Cognify, where all the prisoners have life experiences played out basically 100 seconds in just 1 second. So depending on how bad the crime was that the person committed, they have longer experiences, they have more devastating mind-altering experiences, but all of these experiences play out in your mind. Instead of having to do your full prison sentence, they give you that option. Now you can either serve your full prison sentence, or you could use Cognify to have that all play out in just a couple minutes, 5 minutes. And you have your entire prison sentence filled out like that. Okay? So if we ever banned school, that's what they would do. They wouldn't ban it. They would make it optional, just like I'm saying. But there's some kids that can do Cognify and just have all of it play out in just a second. Hook your brain up to, or your kid's brain up to some wires and, have all that information beamed into his head in a second. But all that information, if we're going based off Common Core in the history books, then it's a bunch of useless information. It's all lies. So it's just clouding up your brain, and when you get done with it, see, no one's going to remember everything from school. You're going to forget most of what they taught you. It's going to fly right over your head. But with Cognify, it'll be beamed into your head. It'll be zapped in your brain. It'll be embedded. It'll be scorched in singed in your fucking brain. All that information. Seared into your fucking brain. Whatever. So the conclusion is that they'll use Cognify for prisons, they'll use Cognify for schools, they'll put you in a matrix to where you can do your sentence in a second. School is the place where you have to form gangs in order to not get killed, okay? You have to form gangs in order to survive. nobody stood up for me. Nobody had my back. Nobody helped me. And school is the place where you can't be yourself unless you're a bully and you have friends to help you. I couldn't be myself. They don't let you be yourself in school. And what ends up happening is you push yourself off for so long that at the end of the day, when you get to high school and when you become an adult that can't drink or purchase cigarettes, all that personal self is lost. It's gone. And by the time you try and start to look for it again, that's when you realize. So what I'm thinking is that you've got your eyes that see, you've basically got these little wires that hook up to the brain, you've got nerve endings, that wires that recede to the brain, you've got fingertips, you've got taste, you've got all these things that connect back to the brain. You could replace those things with an artificial simulation and then enhance the perception of time. You could change their perception of time, the patient, so that they experience 100 seconds in just a second. It's like you're okay as long as you can make your money exploiting kids. But not all the kids are okay with you benefiting from them, okay? It's not okay. No. And these kids have cheats. These stupid kids who actually manage to pass and, get a good grade, they have cheats. A cheat system, codes, cheat codes, hacks in life, in real life, IRL hacks for their work. They have help, they have friends and all that shit. So their whole thing is that they, in this country, it's actually pretty hard. See, even in China, the way it is, their grading system is the complete reverse of what ours is. A is like 50% of the fucking grade. Okay? Here in America, an A is only the top 10%. B is like top 20%. You know how it is? F is basically 50% of the grade. In China, A is 50%. So I can understand how it's frustrating, and also how they can exploit the system, or use the system to their advantage, for the game hacks in real life. I understand that, but they brought me down to a lower level. That's the thing. They just brought me down to a lower level because that's what the system does. That's the whole point of the system. See, the teacher's okay making money off kids, but not all the kids are okay with it. That's the problem, and that's school in a fucking nutshell. The whole point of it is to bring you down if you're smart. Not like them. That's the whole point, is to bring you down to their level. This is an eye for fashion. Right here, this is what it looks like. Look at my eye. That's an eye for fashion. I like the way it blends.
I had one chance, and only one chance, to prove myself and defend myself. I had one chance to stand up for myself, and I blew it. Maybe I wasn't meant to be happy or free. Maybe I never had it, so maybe I didn't develop it properly. But they took that away from me. Just think about it, because nobody ever taught me how. They didn't let me. They didn't even tell me I had creative potential. Did I need somebody to intervene to stop my path, to tell me what to do with my time and not to defend myself? No, I was more important because I'm so intelligent. Or at least I was. I'm just gonna make other choices in the future, so why did it matter for them to bring me there in the first place? What was even the point of me having me there? To get attacked and killed? Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted. That's exactly what they wanted. After their actions, there is no justifiable excuse for what they've done. People can't be that stupid. They're just reluctant to accepting the truth for what it is. The teacher's okay with making money off the kids, but not all the kids are okay with the teacher making money off them. They say that we're the ones starting the fires, and I'm sorry, but they're the ones starting the fires. They do all this shit and then blame us for it. They make the argument that all good, kind people are a result of mental abuse trauma #surviving. Break the machine. Don't be used by them. Like Cognify, you'll be able to have granted advantages for taking part in their experiments at school. You'll have upgrades and you'll be able to surpass all the other students to achieve higher test scores if you will be in their experiments. just like how 5G phones have all those high quality cameras, that can act as a bino or binoculars to help you see farther, just like Cyborg, but without the freak accident. See, this is what the ex-CEO of Pfizer was talking about. The more diplomatic immunity points you get for doing work at school, the more you have your vaccines and flu shots that you get. They'll all be monitored, and you will benefit from getting cybernetic enhancements. Now, Pfizer CEO also said by 2060, everyone will have bionetic enhancements. The Pfizer CEO also said that by 2060, everyone will have bionetic enhancements. Now, keep that in mind. This is a man who was an advisor and administrator for medicine and research in germs and viruses and vaccines for 32 years. He has 32 years of experience under his belt prior to having said all this. You know, I hear that it's best to carry your phone in your back pocket because the frequency waves damages your, reproductive system if you're a man. Oh, hold on. I think that's another thing about redheads, is that they're more sensitive to water or something. Redheads know when it's about to rain before anybody else does. Redheads know when it's gonna rain before it rains. They can kind of, in a sense, predict the weather to a certain degree. Like they can pick up on the moisture in the air and atmosphere or something, but the weather's been very unpredictable lately. When a male sperm count dies, the body has to regenerate that and recycle the ones that are dead. So it's best to put your phone in your back pocket, not carry it in your front pocket, because carrying your phone in your front pocket emits those frequencies that damage your reproductive system. You know, when I talk about reproductive system, one drop of this soy or maltodextrin stuff that they put in everything could probably wipe out an entire sperm count. You know, my flaws shouldn't have been monitored by the school. They took away any chance I had of being normal. My flaws should not have been presented to the entire world to glock at. They made me become someone else, become another person just to fit in, and the true me beneath all this facade has faded away because I was beat up for being myself. The real me was buried beneath all this pressure and reduced to a blurb. I haven't been myself in so long, I kind of forgot how to be myself, and they make you turn yourself off. They had no compassion for me, and they will, and I mean will, kill you just like they wanted to do with me. And that's a statement. They kill the alien. You know, anytime one of these UFOs crash, they immediately kill the alien. The military comes in, the police comes in, they shoot the alien, they kill it, and they reverse engineer all this alien technology that they have. Now there's two aliens, you know. There's the foreign domestic terrorist group known as Black Arms, and they're aliens because they're demons from outer space, where they're from a unknown dimension. We don't even know where they are. And there's the aliens that are outside the ice wall, outside of our, crater that we're in. It's better to give than to receive. It says in the Bible, if a man takes your coat, then you give them your cloak, or offer to give them your cloak. Mass surveillance is illegal. You know, mass surveillance is actually illegal, and here in Oregon, mass surveillance is against the law. You know, having all these state cameras up that scan your face and your eyebrows, how is that legal? AI will be the one world government. Algorithmic tracking. Okay, algorithmic tracking the police will use to predict who's going to be a criminal, the next criminal, right? Creation began with spoken vibration. Our God is a consuming fire. That's Hebrews 12:29. Creation began with verbal spoken vibration. Our God is a consuming fire, Hebrews 12:29, plasma fire, ionized energy beyond chemical flame, his voice as the sound of many waters, as the voice of a great thunder, Revelation 14:2. Thunder is the resonance of God's frequency. After fasting 40 days in Exodus 34:30, behold, the skin of his face shone. God's glory shines as a radiant light. This is more than illumination. It is the electromagnetic glow of life itself. I had to be a complete different person in order to fit in, and that seemed to work. I had become someone else in order to fit in at middle school. I acted like a complete different person for so long that I became different and changed myself in the process. I was loving and kind. They were evil and mean. I became like them in order to fit in, and I'm not my true self. I'm burnt out. All I am is a failed experiment. We had a lot of old buildings in this town, apparently, and I didn't hear anything about this on the internet. I looked for demolition, construction. I looked for not construction, but I look for any fires, buildings that were demolished in the fire, and the only one that pops up is one building in particular. Or maybe another one. I don't know. It's very confusing. You can't find a lot of stuff on the internet about this. So Gog and Magog and the thousand sands of the sea, which Gog is Russia and Magog is America, and thousands of sands are people, versus the camp of the saints or the camp of Christians or whatever. So I bet you anything that Russian nanochip tech was developed right before Jesus Christ's second coming. Mark of the Beast technology, his story repeating itself. They say that it was dating back to 20,000 to 300,000 years ago. And even my friend Skylar, who's been heavily indoctrinated, does not believe it was prehistoric. My dog was better than them in their schoolwork. Schoolwork should have never been one of my priorities. They made me prioritize stupid schoolwork over my dog. My number one priority should have been me spending time with Durango and making good memories, sharing happy times with him. Now I have nothing left to live for and no reason to live. They made me think I would be rewarded for rejecting my favorite thing. Instead I got wounded worse and left there with that pain. I thought I'll be rewarded for just shutting off my emotions. I don't deserve to spend time with my number one dog, Durango. Ex-Pfizer executive CEO worked in the field for 32 years, said that no one should ever take the COVID-19 vaccine. The ex-CEO of Pfizer worked in the field for 32 years, said that no one should ever take the COVID-19 vaccine. When he found out that there was a virus, he was like, what virus? Or at least he said there was no new virus. And when he found out there was a virus, he was like, there is no virus. Pfizer for 32 years. And when he found out about the COVID-19 vaccine and saw the nanotech and venom, graphene and shit, he was like, this shit will fucking kill you. This is the shit that's designed and made to kill you. He said that by 2030, with the real digital ID, you won't be able to travel without your up-to-date flu shots. If our country defaults on its debt and all of its debt to the other countries, then the government legally has the right to take money out of your bank account. For every purchase, stock, house, 401k, real estate, you will be a beneficiary owner. Not the owner, as in you don't own it. You are a beneficiary receiver of the item that you have no ownership of or over. If you make a purchase, it will not be your property, and if you didn't happen to take your mandatory death jab, you will be exempt and banned from certain institutions, businesses, organizations, or establishments anywhere. Temporary, partial ownership of somebody else's product, making me feel as though me and my dog weren't as important as the schoolwork, making me think that schoolwork was more important than my dog, and I couldn't even do the schoolwork because it was too stupid for me to figure out. Plenty of accounts of geometric fields in the area of construction of ancient megalithic sites and monuments. They could understand Earth's magnetic fields. Ancient civilizations probably had the ability to manipulate and utilize these forces. They found ancient prehistoric Hyperborean microtechnology that was resemblant of modern electronic equipment or mechanical devices, high-performance engineering found in Russia. 1/100th of a millimeter thick, can only be seen with high-powered electron microscopy. God dang it. They found ancient prehistoric Hyperborean microtechnology that was resemblant of modern electronic equipment or mechanical devices, high-performance engineering found in Russia. 1/100th of a millimeter thick, can only be seen with high-powered electron microscopy. Tungsten, copper, and molybdenum. These are the type of materials used for rocket science and military inventions. Look like computing technology. 20,000 to 300,000 years old. Archaeologists. School was an absolute fucking waste of time. They were holding me back, preventing me from being my one true self that didn't manifest. I didn't get to reach my full potential. You locked me in a room with other kids who were no better than me, and so I can get beat up and the kids can pick and choose sides. They force you to choose what side. What once was love turned into hate. What once was me saying I loved you to my mother 100 times a day turned into fuck you cunt. And I hope you fucking die. They made me feel like I needed to be mean in order to gain love and respect and be loved and appreciated. They turned me evil and then left me here to rot in this misery, telling me
telling the very mother who's done everything for me, fuck you and I hate you. All of every one of them. They restricted my creative thinking side, a side of the brain that you're not supposed to influence. I would have non-stop creative thoughts and when I was a kid, but that was supposed to flourish. They were supposed to help me flourish that part of my mind that part of my brain would be active. Dude, if that part of my brain was active now, I'd be making animations every day. If it weren't for that school, if it wasn't for, and that portion of my brain was burnt out like a cigarette. All my creativity, they made me shut it off, rip it, tear it down, rip it up and tear it down. And don't get involved in fights you can't win. They confused me. Every person has YHVH DNA strands, God's patent. The YHVH strand has a RNA light called a soul light, which is replaced with another light. It's a leg that sticks out of every one of these strands that's replaced by their artificial light when you take the vax. There's undisputable evidence that J&J and Moderna and all the other vaccine manufacturers have committed crimes against humanity. Just so you know, the worst thing I can do is quit being myself. Going out and wanting to talk to people and make movies is like, having to piss really badly. Teach the audience about cover. So, a crossbow will work really, really well against, armor, okay? Certain types of armor. And a bullet will not penetrate through that armor, but it will penetrate through trees and most car doors, modern day car parts. A crossbow can penetrate through that armor, but not through wood. Isn't that cool? So, yeah, they bamboozled me. Oh shit, that's the end. Please let me explain myself. When I was in first grade, I said, I don't like school, out on the blacktop in front of everyone. Everyone's like, Sam doesn't like school. Sam doesn't like school. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Sam, how do you not like school? So, after I said that, just afterwards, a short period of time after I said that, they had launched the assembly in the cafeteria room or the assembly room or the gymnasium. They had played this animation, and when the kid in the black hoodie didn't want to talk to anyone, everybody turned their heads to me like this. It was like one of those cartoons where all the characters are popping out from behind the door frame, stacked on top of one another. That's all I saw was heads stacked on top of one another like that. So that's when I got attacked. So 5th grade, when Mrs. Holz was going on about the Jew wallets and the Jew boots, the Jew leather pants and the Jew leather boots and the Jew leather gloves and the leather purses that Nazis made from the flesh and skin of Jews, and they moved it to the Holocaust Museum, I let out a sneeze, and the entire class turned their heads to me for like 15 seconds, didn't pay attention to the word that the teacher was saying, and the same way that they turned their heads to me in 5th grade was the same way they turned their heads to me at the gymnasium in 1st grade. If you have a problem with how I feel, you should have never sent me to that school in the first place. I hate teachers, I hate bullies, and personally I think they shouldn't exist. And personally, in my opinion, if you ever see a cop, hang them from the nearest tree publicly. When you see some kids start to come within 6 feet of you at that school, you have to fight or flight. This brick, it's heavier, it's thicker, and it's more dense than the average red brick that you would use for school. And it's more authentic, more of a consistent red texture, and look, it's got those burn marks too. So this is Season 1, Episode 8 of Sonic X, the Sonic X series. It's called Satellite Swindle, and what they're doing here is they're fighting Eggman in one of his ships, one of his robots. Tails is asking Chris, and it only appears for like 6 seconds, to put the ring in this adapter for the Chaos Emerald energy so that it can adapt and use the rest of the energy. The ring acts as a sigil. All of these rings in the series act as sigils. Why do you think that the rings give the characters more health whenever they obtain them? Why do you think it gives you more health? It traps the soul in the body so that your character doesn't die. You see, that's why it acts as health. Now the ring itself is a sigil for trapping entities or energy, whatever you want to call it. So in order to use the rest of the energy for the Chaos Emeralds, in order to power the ship, and heat it to unfreeze it, because it's not built for space, and unfreeze Sonic, they have to use a ring as an adapter, or a sigil. So the rings in the game are basically a sigil, in case you've never noticed that. It's crazy the way that works. But it's very discreet, and I don't have anything against the show, right? I don't want you to take down the show for it, but here's another one. This is when they fight the Bio Lizard in Sonic X. They are going up there, flying around, they have to turn gold, they have to turn Super Saiyan in order to beat this thing. And the Bio Lizard is the original Shadow, you know. They used Sonic's DNA, Bio Lizard's DNA, and Chaos Energy in order to make Shadow. Bio Lizard is this little 13-year-old girl's pet salamander that the military was killed by military personnel, right? This is the freaking thing. Look at what it's doing. It was made with Chaos Energy, and because it's a sentient living being, it uses and manipulates the Chaos Energy in order to teleport to the ship. Inside the ship, so he's fused inside the ship, just like the Philadelphia experiment. There was an experiment, the Philadelphia experiment, that happened in the 1940s during World War II times, and the rings act as a converter for the Chaos Emerald's energy so that the entire ship doesn't explode when they try and convert it to power the ship, and adapt it to use the rest. So the rings are sigils, and the Chaos Emeralds are incanted objects with some sort of chaotic energy incantation on them. That's why they can make fake emeralds, because they can just incant probably any object and have the same sort of effect. It used chaos energy in order to warp itself, infuse itself into the ship, and then it used chaos control to actually throw the ship down to try and defeat. This thing is literally living on life support. It's got like a resuscitator. It's living on life support. Its eyes have been mutated to the point where it has been replaced by machines and tubes. The eyes have been replaced by fucking machines and tubes. And that's what happened in the Philadelphia experiment. 1940s or something to maybe 1950s. They tried to travel back in time. And what happened was the ship that they were traveling in, they managed to successfully teleport back in time. This is all true stuff. Everybody knows about this. But when they found them on the other end, they were fused inside the walls. I mean, it even says at the end of the show, you know, time travel and teleporting with time travel, it can actually rearrange your molecular structure. And that was episode 38, Showdown in Space.
See, look. Dark Oak and the Meta-Wrex are draining the planet's life force. The trees won't be able to defend themselves from all the chemtrails. Amplifying the light over and over again will reduce the authentic halogenic color of the sun. The sun is beating on it from the west over here every day, and it's been like this the past 5 or 6, it's been like this the past month. And all these leaves over here are completely normal, and yet all these ones up here are burnt and fried and crisp. So what's that about? So the tree has looked similar for the past about 9 days, right? All of these leaves at the top are brown. It has been absorbing and draining water from the ground that's stored up, doing what it's supposed to, living, absorbing water, but even that is not enough to defend it against all these chemtrails that we've been seeing going by. These planes that leave these white trails. Dark Oak and the Meta-Wrex are draining the planet's life force, so there won't be enough energy left in the tree for it to defend itself against the chemtrails. Amplifying the sun's light will lead to the reduction of the sun's natural halogenic color. That is why we have all these brown leaves. They put reflective metals in the sky, a whole cloud of it, a whole layer of reflective metals like aluminum and chrome. NASA is even putting lithium in the chemtrails, right? They call it smart dust. But these reflective materials if you reflect the light over and over so many times, it'll super scorch the surface of the Earth with a reflective layer in the atmosphere.
So that's the best way to look at it, is that there's a giant layer of mirrors above us. I hate my life. I hate myself. I just want, because we're all put under the system of oppression doesn't mean you go out and purge the weak. It doesn't give you the right, but it seems as though that's why the weak are being purged, because we're all put under a system of oppression, and homework was invented as a punishment. Seems like people have misplaced their will to live. I got something really important to say. If you bring a gun to school to use it against your bullies, you'll get in trouble, and you will never see that gun ever again in your life. Perfectly good firearm gone to waste, stolen. Zero tolerance to kids who want to fight back, who want the right to not get killed at school. And then they'll say that they lost it, and they'll sell it. If you ever bring a gun to school to shoot your bullies in self-defense, you'll still get tried as an adult, and it's a lose-lose situation for that kid who's going to school who has bullying problem. But for the aggressors, you either do nothing and don't get in trouble, or you fight and win and get a 3 to 5 day suspension. Now, how can you people like the police over the kids? I mean, we literally respect the police more than we respect the children. Fucking cowards. You, all of you, the lot of you, you should all accept the children for who and what they are. They're not a freaking adult who makes decisions for themselves. They're themselves. They are themselves. And that's, there was a kid who never got to develop. That kid was me. I never got my chance to develop my childhood, and now, because I've pushed it off for so long, that kid never got to develop. And trust me, that kid is still there. But the world still doesn't understand it. They never did. They all pushed me away, and that child has been locked in my basement. I've taken him away, and I'm not giving him up. I'm holding him hostage so he can't escape. The repressed childhood that I was supposed to have only comes out in little short bursts and tantrums or looks that I give people. I can't escape and I need help, but I got punched in the face in front of everyone, so who would help or respect such a fucking loser like this, such as me? A narcissistic, egotistical maniac with a soul made up of none other than hate. Yeah, I deserved that punch, and I got exactly what I deserved. Just like the Philadelphia experiment, he fuses into the ship. It has to be mutated, just like that island off the coast of California. It has eyes that have been mutated to the point where they were replaced by vents or something. Just like this transhumanism. It's all very real stuff. They're the ones who are going to start the fires to make the federal claims, but all the spots that they've burned. Shit. I heard that they were going to start these fires to make federal claims on all the spots that they burned. Mineral rights, gold, ownership, money. And the Bible Belt, the Bible Strip from Missouri, all the way up and down. It's this strip in the very middle of the country that spans, from the middle of the country all the way top, all the way to the bottom. A line. The majority of the caves in the United States are located on the outskirts of that strip. Most of the caves appear to the closer edge of the country the more you go. Like the more you go to Oregon, right, California, more you go to, say, maybe Florida, maybe New York, the more caves there are. The more you go to the edge of the country. And the weird thing is that the child abduction and missing children rates go up the more you head to the outskirts of the country too. And if you pull up both maps, one of the cave locations here in the United States and one map of the missing children by the Department of Missing and Exploited Kids, you'll find some strikingly strong similarities. It looks like the same map. The devil has come to kill, steal, and destroy. Why do you think that, $9.99, 99 cents, where do you think that comes from? Flip it upside down. Endurance training exercises help flush out the system and its sickness. Everything they do is to kill you, and we know the whole point of the teachers union in schools to make the kids pissed off. It's just to piss off those kids. Just because you're mad at a system that was designed to fuck with you doesn't mean that you have to go and attack other kids. It's inhumane is what it is. I mean, you can. That's the whole reason they send you there. But they send good kids with bullies, and they don't just because it's not helping. That's exactly why. It's exactly what they want. They're preying on you to beat up innocent kids. Teachers and staff, it's like, if you don't act civilized, then how are we supposed to show them that we can operate within our own function? Running, bicycling, yoga, it's all, kicking,
helps clear the system of its sickness and helps regenerate dead activity. It says in the Bible that God hates sickness. And also, remember in the Bible it says to test your spirits to make sure it's not a demon or an evil spirit. It's almost October. It's when they said that asteroid was coming. I like winter because I'm not worried about, being lonely about family and stuff. It's December, it's just like any other month. And if the Mexican people derive from Mayan culture, and their culture, would be the ones that we should trust about Halloween. Here in America, we celebrate Halloween. In Mexico, they celebrate the Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos. The gap between realms, spiritual and physical, thins or weakens. They go to the burial site of their past loved ones to visit their spirits in October because that is when the veil between worlds, non-physical and physical, is lifted. However you want to look at it, that is when we feel their presence. Just because they made the schools to piss off those kids doesn't give you an excuse to go purging the weak. 3I Atlas chemicals used for spaceship endurance practices like running or riding a bike can help clear out the system. Not nutting a cozy blanket, that's what they want. They're not coming for your parents, they're coming for the children, and they won't stop until Islam is in every home and children become Muslims. The whole thing, the things that the whole does to the innocent kids, man, it's a sacrificial ritual. It must be real easy doing the work when you have bully friends to help you be yourself and stop anyone that gets in your way, and try and stop anyone who tries to stop you from being yourself after you beat the shit out of me in front of everyone. And teachers and kids absolutely wanted it to happen and let it happen. That's why they sent me there. That's there with him, It must be nice having your freedom of act and choice. Let me tell you, these bullies are ruthless, and if they corner the innocent or weak, they will. And they're like hounds waiting behind the teachers' backs. The last thing you want to do is be cornered or trapped by them. These kids are ruthless murderers waiting for an opportunity to purge the weak. They want blood. They want to see you bleed. Your children. And work. You go to work, and if you don't work, the school doesn't work for you.
So you go to work at the school. You're not working for the school isn't working for you. Your teachers are not working, well, they're kind of working for you. But the more you work at the school, the more diplomatic immunity points you get.
Shouldn't have to tell them about this stuff. It's awkward. They shouldn't have ever brought me there in the first place. And if you look at an innocent kid and say, well, you're not allowed to defend yourself, it's zero tolerance policy, you can't have guns at the school, after looking at that demon, I'm sorry, but you're the reason bullets were invented. Would you not give a gun to an angel and grenades to help fight the Red Dragon supremacists? These schools were designed to just piss off the kids. All these schools and teachers programmed for is pissing off the kids so that they can purge, kill, and exploit and attack the weak. Every school is just put there as an excuse to attack innocent kids, and they get away with it. The people condone it. It's a 3-step program. You take a disciplined kid, you take an undisciplined fuck me. The 3-step program is you take a disciplined kid, you take an undisciplined kid, and 3, it's all under a system of oppression. If you're smart and genuinely want to figure out the system, the math, history, and be yourself, be prepared to run to a few setbacks. Common Core says everything is a myth, and if you see a crowd of over 100 black people and teenagers chasing after one single fucking white kid trying to stab and shank him, that's when you need an AR-15. All teachers should feel alone and scared, just as I have felt. The only reason that they do it is because they can get away with it. The only reason they can get away with it is because we let them. I think it was the 4th when 2 major fires popped up on the radar on the fire map, the heat map, and my mom asked the City Hall people how this data was collected on the fire hazard zones for people's homes, and which they greeted her with no reliable response, to which the fire department chief gave her a strange look, as if he was on, something. And when I was I presented that list of over 100 laws. Just remember, it's a serious crime to falsely accuse others of things they did not do. Not every law on that list happened to me, but the majority of them did. They never told him he was the bad guy. They never told me I wasn't the bad guy. If this happened to me, then, the same thing happened to me. It will happen to plenty of other kids that are innocent. Every day. I was gonna get stabbed to death on the playground, on the blacktop. If you ever see a bully, like, I don't even know what to fucking say at this point. Like, god dang. Again, I'm not a firearms instructor or a combat instructor, but you have to be aware of what or who is out there in the distance, who's behind the corner, who's behind you, situational awareness. When there are two fires at the same time, 50, there were two fires at the same time, 10:53 at night. They were not man-made, like homeless people going out there. No, the fire chief was in on it, okay? And then they rearranged the University of Oregon hazard zone map and announced in a city hall meetings that they made a red zone and hadn't left their meetings in minutes. They are in that position of authority, and there's a point where you have to know they're the ones starting the fires, that something's up. It's not some random homeless guy starting the fires. These are coordinated attacks, and they're in on it. There was no lightning. 11:53 or 10:53 at night, we saw all these planes and drones going by. Actually, no, 10:53, I think, was when the fire started. We saw planes going by, I think, at about 10:11 to 10:25, from what I remember. Could be 10:53, could be at the same time, but two fires at the same time. And all these planes were going by, these drones, and, a lot of airspace activity. There were two more at 4:53 in the morning. Police are trained to shoot for the abdominal, and it's like from the groin area to the belly button, just below the belly button, if they don't have the time to draw the gun and aim for your head or center mass, torso. They're trained to shoot for your pelvis region from just about up, maybe a little bit lower from the belly button. There's the whole point or cover is to have something to hide behind. Notice how there's 7 Dragon Balls just like there's 7 Chaos Emeralds. I left high school because I got PTSD in 6th grade, and then no one told me why. They kind of forgot about me. They just, all they have left is something to jerk off to from when we were kids. Me getting beat up, they probably fucking hate me. And rule number 1 is to expect the unexpected. These rings act to contain or seal certain types of energy, usually chaos energy, but maybe some divine energy, but it's just a show, it appears the ring's more like a sigil than I thought. If you attach the ring to an object, it releases that stored up energy to its target, draining heaven or hell energy from the emeralds and converting it through wires and computing to transfer the energy to the machine to power it. Just having me there was making them money. They didn't deserve to have me there in their presence. I hate myself for even going there in the first place. It's human cruelty. They even use the rings as a portal in the Sonic X series. The Bio-Lizard pulls the ship with chaos control after it manipulates chaotic energy to teleport into the ship. Gerald Robotnik probably told her it's dying, or I tried to save it, but it's no longer with us. The point, why was it on a 4Kids cartoon? Anyhow, again, I like the show, but don't want it to get taken down. They would have had to literally hook this thing up to a machine in order to keep it alive. It's making it mortal, and incant the thing with demonic chaos energy. Replace its eyes with vents, or look at something in a lock in a fucking basement. It's like, what the fuck? And then the only way you would know is that if you've read the diary in Sonic Adventure 2, that poor salamander had to use the cognitive ability to use warp and chaos energy to teleport to the ship. You get tried for this stuff, you go to prison for life, and they make you out to be the bad guy, when in reality it's your bully, They had confused me to where I don't know the good guy from the bad guy, and that school couldn't let me test my limits. They attacked me for being myself, they ruined me, and they never let me feel comfortable in my own skin. When you can't be yourself, you must become someone you're not, an alternative personality in order to fit in, picking up on traits from other kids like purging the weak. And they even used the rings as portals in the Sonic X series. The Bio-Lizard pulls the ship with chaos control after it manipulates chaotic energy to teleport into the ship. Gerald Robotnik probably told her it's dying, or I tried to save it but it's no longer with us. But the point is, why was this in a 4Kids cartoon? Again, like the show, I don't want it to get taken down. I like it. It's why they would have had to literally hook this thing up to a machine in order to keep it alive, making it immortal, and can't the thing with demonic chaos energy replace its eyes with vents or something, and then lock it in the basement? The only way you would know this is if you read the diary from Sonic Adventure 2. That poor salamander had the cognitive ability to use and warp chaos energy to teleport to the ship, and then had enough intellect to warp chaos energy with chaos control in order to drag the ship and steer it, to throw it and yeet it across space. It was using fucking chaotic energy to maneuver the ship to its desired destination. The chaos energy can also warp and distort the very fabric of time-space itself. Now look at it this way. The truth will all come together on the other side of this thing. God will allow you to receive that knowledge. It's fun to do acting, but Mrs. Holes said that there's a curfew in this town. If you're out past 10, you should have your ID, or at least your school ID, in case anyone catches you and tries to talk to you like a police or cop. Last time I walked my dog, he ran away. 3 a.m., tried to run to the park. I followed him barefoot, and he ran away, and, I followed him down to the park. There's a sign at the park that says it closes at 10. There's this sheriff, not a bad guy. Okay, I just felt as though I couldn't take him for a walk one last time. And so I rushed him home, and I told myself I'm such a stupid idiot for even having coming here in the first place. I thought, I'd be breaking 2 laws, but I was 18 at the time, so there was no fucking law against it. I'll get caught here, and I'll be forced to go to prison. I love you all, and, I loved every one of you, and I'm sorry. It appears as though I didn't realize that being myself is the very thing that made people like me. Whoa, huge misunderstanding. I must have misinterpreted all that as suicide solicitation, bullying, harassment, threats, verbal abuse, and brainwashing, then ratting me out for cutting myself. Oh no, I must have misinterpreted all that as, don't be yourself and we won't fucking kill you. I guess there was really no reason for any of this at all, right? So...
Everything is a joke and it's not meant to be taken seriously. This is an acting/skit after all. Now, God hates sickness and snakes used to have legs until God took them away. The demon told me to attack my enemies and I did not listen. I feel so fucking unappreciated by everyone. Kids would scream rape at that school as loud as they could for no freaking reason. And I also do blame for this. I do believe that that's a very sensible conclusion. And that school made me so unloving that the very thing that meant everything to me became nothing. I kept telling myself I was unloving and I kept putting it off that way until eventually I didn't care and I became the very thing that I hate. Incompassionate, uncaring, and so hateful. So I put my dog off until the end and pretended not to care and not to notice until it was too late. And then I didn't pet him the same way that I used to. I wanted to make it seem like I didn't care and I didn't want to get the love beaten out of me again. I just want to be with my dog. I love you all. I love every single one of you. And I just wish for you all a chance to be happy.